If you ask Paul Pierce, he'll tell you when you have suffered, when you have failed, when you have known what it is to be humbled, when you endure all of that and emerge on top, triumph is all the sweeter. The 6'7" Hall of Famer's journey from LA's playgrounds to superstardom and back is remarkable. This is the story of Paul Pierce. Paul Anthony Pierce was born on October 13, 1977, in Oakland, California, and moved to Inglewood, a predominantly African-American neighborhood in Los Angeles, California, in 1989 with his mother, Lorraine Hosey, and two half-brothers. Gangs were everywhere, but basketball kept Paul and his two brothers out of trouble. Paul practiced his game on the city's courts, dreaming of being the next Magic and making progress with the support of Scott Collins. Collins, an Inglewood police detective, was very socially engaged, coaching young basketball in the Police Activity League, which provided low-income youths with the opportunity to participate in organized sports. Coach Collins was not only a father figure to me, but to so many other young kids growing up, Pierce said in an interview for Beyond the Glory. However, as young Paul rapidly realized, being good isn't enough. He appeared to be an average basketball player when he entered Inglewood High School. His talents were obvious, but he lacked the ideal size and strength that typically indicate a college prospect, and as a freshman, he was cut from the varsity team. Paul, on the other hand, was unfazed. He began arriving at school at 5 a.m. to practice with a few other team members. The 5'8" sophomore barely made the varsity team a year later. Paul pushed even harder after securing his spot in the starting lineup. His physical activities began to catch up to his potential. Paul led the Sentinels to a 30-win season and a division title in his junior year. His senior year saw him become California's top high school talent, earning a spot in the McDonald's All-American game alongside future NBA stars Kevin Garnett, Stephen Marbury, Anton Jameson, and Vince Carter. Pierce had already made the decision to go to the University of Kansas and play under renowned coach Roy Williams at the time. Williams had been his most persistent recruiter, yet his recruitment strategy had gained Paul's admiration. Williams was similarly impressed with his rising star. In 1996, Paul made a splash in Lawrence, garnering Big 8 Freshman of the Year honors. Back-to-back Big 12 Conference Tournament MVP titles followed, and he was named an All-American following his junior season. With only one loss in his second season, the Jayhawks entered the NCAA tournament as the overwhelming favorite to win the national championship, but in the Sweet 16, Paul's ambitions were crushed by a painful 85-82 loss to Arizona, the eventual champions. Paul broke down during the post-game press conference, displaying the heart and emotion that fans have come to recognize as clearly his. Pierce was recognized as one of the best college players in the country during his time as a Jayhawk, averaging 16.4 points and 6.3 rebounds per game. Paul's junior season came to an end, and it was time for him to go on to the next level in his career. Paul was considered one of the best prospects in the NBA draft in 1998, a quite certain lottery pick. He began to slide down the draft board as the draft began and names were read one after another. Paul's life was forever changed when he was picked number 10. The Boston Celtics selected him in the first round, despite not having worked out the small forward before to the draft. It was a fitting homage to his abilities. The Celtics were still the most successful team in league history, with 16 championships to their credit, but they're hungry for another championship. Despite the fact that Pierce rapidly established himself as a vital contributor, averaging over 16 points and 6 rebounds per game in his debut season, the group struggled, winning only 19 of 50 games during the strike-shortened season. Paul's NBA ambitions, as well as his life, would be jeopardized only 1 month before the start of his third NBA season. Pierce and two teammates went out to the Buzz Club, a local Boston nightclub, in September of 2000. At 1 a.m., Boston police arrived at the club in response to a report of a stabbing. Paul was the poor victim. A couple of ladies were in there. I stopped to say hi, and next thing you know, I was in a mix with somebody, he recalled. Everything happened so fast, I can't even tell you how long it lasted. Surprisingly, Paul was back in Boston's starting lineup for the start of the 2000 to 2001 NBA season just a month after the incident. It turned out to be his best season yet, with him averaging 25.3 points per game and being named to his first All-Star selection. He was also given the alias The Truth. A year later, number 34 led the Celtics to the Eastern Conference Finals by surprise. In Game 3, they overcame a 21-point fourth-quarter deficit to overcome the New Jersey Nets, making it the largest comeback victory in postseason history. Paul was named to the All-Star team every season from 2002 to 2006. In 2002, he led the NBA in total points with 2,144 and was named to the All-NBA third team in both 2002 and 2003. In 2002, he was picked for the U.S. national team and competed in the FIBA World Championships. However, while Paul was having incredible personal success, the Celtics as a team were struggling. Boston concluded the 2006 to 2007 season with just 24 victories, the NBA's second-worst record, while Pierce only played 47 games due to injuries. Uncertain of his long-term role with the Celtics, he went into the offseason wondering what to do next. His world shifted on draft night in April 2007. Danny Ainge, the Celtics general manager, orchestrated two transactions that brought seasoned superstars Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett to Boston, surrounding Paul with talent he had never had before. Paul, KG, and Ray, quickly known as the Big Three, led Boston to a great turnaround, leading to 66 wins and an eventual NBA championship, the first for all three players and the 17th in franchise history. Paul was the star of the show, winning the NBA Finals MVP award. We want to be remembered as one of the great teams in Celtics history. It's our turn to make our own legacy, Pierce told USA Today. That's our motivation, and as competitors, you're always looking for a new challenge. Ray Allen's departure from Boston for the Miami Heat in 2012 marked the end of the Celtics' Big Three era. The team was disbanded for good the following season, with Paul and Kevin Garnett being traded to the Brooklyn Nets. It was a surprise to the NBA, as well as a significant change for Pierce, who had spent his entire career in Boston. Under his leadership, the Nets engaged in multiple hard-fought contests throughout the year, spawning new rivalries with Miami and Toronto. Brooklyn took a tenacious young Toronto club to 7 games in the opening round of the playoffs. The Truth blocked Kyle Lowry's jumper at the buzzer in the decisive game, preserving the win and sending the Nets to the Eastern Conference semifinals against the defending champs, Miami. But they would get knocked out by the Heat in the next round. The Truth found himself a new home in Washington. He signed a 2-year deal with the Wizards in 2014, but the team would not find any postseason success. Pierce opted out of the second year of his contract and signed a deal with the Clippers where he would play 2 seasons, averaging 5.4 points per game in 16 minutes of playing time. The following season, the Celtics gave Paul the ultimate honor, retiring his number 34 and raising it to the rafters at TD Garden on February 11, 2018. And in September of 2021, Pierce was inducted into the Hall of Fame of Basketball. Paul Pierce wasn't the most naturally gifted player, but after the Celtics selected him 10th overall in the 1998 NBA draft, he arrived in Boston with a relentless drive that would propel him to greatness. He became a 10-time All-Star, 4-time All-NBA, Finals MVP, and a World Champion. No question, the Truth deserved this Hall of Fame honor.